My name is Vanessa Tejas, and I will be discussing Working from Home, a Group Analysis. Working from home may cross the home boundary, gradually intruding on family and personal time, which can lead to stress. Working from home as a salesperson may be stressful due to the expectations and sales goals. Working mothers deal with the stress of having to care for their children while having to work. In addition, working in teams may result in social power, which is the capacity to influence others. I chose to explore the topic of stay-at-home mothers because I am a working mother who once considered working from home, but found that to be more stressful than working on-site. In addition, I feel it was important to analyze the dynamics in work teams and the pressure that is put on salespeople. I will be interchanging between the words mothers, salespeople, and employees, and all are meant to have the same meaning. In a study by Capitano and Greenhouse, the authors examine how roles interfere with one another, such as the work role and home role. Capitano and Greenhouse hypothesized that work role identity, salience, as well as polychronicity, are positively related to permeability preference of the home of role boundary. Risk is defined as the subjective importance that a person attaches to each multiple identity, such as work or home. The authors found that greater home risk is associated with greater difficulty in role exit, that is, switching from the home role to work role. In another study, Jones, Kentuck, Futrell, and Johnston examined how salespeople's perceptions of their supervisors' behaviors and the influence of supervisors' behaviors on the sales force's role perceptions, job anxiety, and job satisfaction. Results revealed that role conflict was found to be positively related to both role ambiguity and job anxiety, and to job satisfaction negatively. Greaves, Parker, Sacker, and Jimison conducted research on first-time and existing working mothers. The purpose of the study was to examine core self-evaluations and emotional exhaustion from work and care. The authors found that high work control boosted the negative relationship between mental health and subsequent emotional exhaustion from work. Pictured at the bottom is a mom who has lost her patience and is just stressed out from taking care of her children and having to work as well. I hypothesize that It Works employees will experience more stress, especially from mothers, due to job stress and role conflict, and will be affected by the hard and soft tactics used by It Works representatives and the company. At the bottom here is a person who is pictured who is stressed out from work, and not even 5 cups of coffee can get him through the day. My intentions in the study was to gain an understanding if working from home benefits mothers and to know the underlying opinions they have of their work teams. I analyzed the women's work team 2 times on 2 different days where the 7 women gave verbalized consent for me to analyze them. I used a group discussion and interview method. The sample included 7 females from an It Works team between the ages of 26 and 39. 6 of the 7 women were Hispanic, and 1 woman was white. 6 of the 7 women are mothers to at least 1 or more children. All 7 of the women reside in Southern California. The first time I analyzed 5 of the 7 women's Instagram and Facebook pages online, I paid close attention to how often they each advertised, what they advertised, and how they advertised. In addition, I compared each employee's posts. I analyzed their posts by scrolling through each woman's page. The women posted hourly, and they posted promotions, sales, how much money they made. They posted, for example, buy 3, get 1 free. They consistently posted about their life to let others know that they are real women who make real money. In addition to this, to selling their product, they were posting about their lives to recruit other women, specifically targeting mothers, because mothers are the ones who want to stay home and care for their children. The second time I analyzed one of their group meetings. During the group meeting, I interviewed 3 of the 7 women, as only 5 women attended the meeting. I asked questions such as, do you feel stressed about the expectations from your leader? And other questions as well. A group discussion method was used to find out the employees' feelings about the benefits of their job, as well as their feelings towards belonging to a team. A one-on-one interview was conducted to the participants to see if their answers were consistent with the answers in the group discussion. Prior to the study, I expected that the employees' answers would not be consistent during the group discussion and one-on-one interview. I also expected for the mothers to feel more stressed when working from home. In addition, I opinionated for the mothers or employees to be negatively affected by the hard tactics as well as soft tactics used by representatives from It Works. One limitation to the study is that 6 of the 7 women were mothers and only 1 was not. Comparing an even amount of mothers versus non-mothers would aid in better understanding of the stress that they deal with. A second limitation is the size of the sample. Only 7 women of the millions of It Works employees were analyzed. A bigger sample could possibly change the results. Since it was an online work team, employees hardly gathered together. Most meetings are held via Skype. It was difficult to fully get an insight due to these matters. The first question I asked was, since working for It Works, have you noticed an increase in family time? As a group, the women answered yes. One woman said, as long as I follow 100 women at the start of my day, all I have to worry about is posting, and I get to be with my kiddos. The second question I asked, do you believe this is more beneficial than working a 9-to-5 job? All said yes, of course. I hate having to wake up and go to my work and leave my kids, said one woman. The third question was, although you work from home, do you believe you give enough attention to your children? Some were hesitant to respond, but most said yes, and others nodded and looked at each other to agree. I then asked 3 of the 7 women individual questions. I asked the same questions to see if I received different responses or the same responses. One of the women was a leader of the team, and the other 2 were the team members. The other 4 women were unable to stay for the one-on-one interview. The first question I asked, which was different from the other questions, so I wouldn't put one woman on the spot, was, do you feel stressed about the expectations from your leader? The first woman said, not so much my leader, more like the company. We have to constantly post and follow. I feel like I'm on my phone all day just to get that one sale, and it's stressful at times, because if I don't make that sale, then I don't get money, and that is all I have to rely on. So the more I work, I put in the more money. I guess it has pros and cons. The second woman said, no, not really. I mean, it's a pretty simple job, make the sale and get the money. But I mean, I guess the pressure of having to follow and post consistently can be overwhelming sometimes. I just want a break from my phone, and then having to convince someone to buy a product I never really use is difficult itself. I just hope to get to the top so I don't have to work as hard. Another question I asked, since working for It Works, have you noticed an increase in family time? The first woman said yes and no, as well as the second and the third. They all believed that they give enough time to their children. However, having to be consistently on their phone can also take away from family time. For example, like going on vacations, they still are working. They don't get the luxury of having weekends off. They make their own schedule. Question I asked, do you believe this is more beneficial than working a 9-to-5 job? The first woman said, like I said earlier, the whole having to be on the phone thing gets stressful. A 9-to-5 job would at least give me time to go home and separate work from the home and be able to enjoy family time. Woman number 2 said, sometimes I think about going back to a 9-to-5 so my husband won't be giving me problems. But I love staying home with my kids, so I guess it's a struggle. I can't really give a straight answer. The third woman said, no way, a 9-to-5 doesn't get you much places. This job has helped me succeed in so many ways I never thought was possible. I could never go back to a 9-to-5. So I would say that 2 out of 3 women would consider going back to a 9-to-5 job, therefore meaning that perhaps working for an It Works work team is not as beneficial as working a 9-to-5. The fourth question, although you work from home, do you believe you give enough attention to your children? The first woman said, I do believe I give enough time, but not all the time. I love to give, if that makes sense. I feel like being a middle-class mother and making a decision to work is hard. We don't get much resources that other people get in other countries. I almost feel like having children, if not wealthy, is emotionally and financially draining. Of course, I'd love to stay home with my children without working, but that's impossible with this economy. Woman 2 said, yes, I do. My baby is my world, so I make sure to put him first. I'm not rich, but I feel like our bond is more important than having designer clothes and shoes. As long as we have food on the table and a roof over our head, then I am okay with that. The leader of the team believed, I basically answered this last time, but I am able to be there for them and sometimes I'm not. I guess it depends on the situation, on sales goals, and deadlines. My findings were consistent with my expectations that group answers would differ from one-on-one answers. I also found that women were pressured to post due to hard and soft tactics used by the company, especially when incentives were offered. My findings were not consistent that working from home would take away from family time. The three women believed that for the most part they did give enough attention to their children. However, the mothers mentioned they considered working a 9-to-5 job instead due to other reasons. One of those reasons included an upset spouse for spending so much time on their phone. I can infer that this is due to jealousy and the many problems social media causes in relationships. Overall, the most important finding was that people's choices and decisions rely merely on their peers. My main concern was to discover if working from home is more beneficial for mothers or not, and I found that they love the freedom of not having a 9-to-5, but would like the time away from work that a 9-to-5 has. I discovered that social influence is a huge concern when in a group or team. This was not shocking, as previous research has confirmed this. For example, the Asch experiment. The Asch experiment concluded that when people are in a group or team, they are more likely to go with the majority answer, even if that means that answer is incorrect. Pictured at the bottom right is a group of boys jumping in off to the water off a bridge. The famous line, "If your friend jumps off the bridge, are you going to jump off too?" When in a group or team, this seems to happen. If your team member does something or answers something a certain way, it is more likely that you will too. My findings did not fully confirm what I expected. I believed more mothers or employees would be concerned about the stress of working from home. However, my findings were the opposite. The mothers believed that they were giving enough time to their children, but did express having a job while raising children would be stressful. Social influence, that is, interpersonal processes that change the thoughts, feelings, or behaviors of another person, was present in the study. The women from the It Works team displayed conformity when making decisions as a group. I analyzed that when women gave an answer, the others looked to their group or team members for direction, therefore being influenced by the majority. When I interviewed them one-on-one, they each had a mind of their own. They made their own decisions and didn't look to each other for direction. Reward power, that is, power based on one's control over the distribution of rewards given or offered to group members, was another dynamic noted in the work team. Since incentives were provided, mothers felt the pressure to work harder to earn these rewards or bonuses. The leader displayed legitimate power. That is, power based on an individual's socially sanctioned claim to a position or role that gives occupant the right to require and demands compliance with directives. The leader was in charge of making sure mothers and salespeople made their sales goals, since their money each depended on one another. The leader used power tactics in order to influence the members to want to work harder, which included both soft tactics and hard work tactics. Future research should analyze working moms versus non-working moms to better understand whether working from home or working on site is more beneficial. Future research should also compare work teams versus individuals, that is, those who work individually. Pictured on the bottom right is a mother who works from home with her children. Although she is able to stay home and work from home while watching her child, she doesn't give her child the full attention. Pictured on the right is a mother who perhaps works in the army. The mother doesn't spend much time with her children, as she is away for many months and even years. Both are still mothers, and it is important to note the facts that it may be stressful to work away from home while having to raise a child. In addition, future research should analyze the resources that are limited to working mothers. Thank you.